Title: Shadows over China. The first phase of the Chinese Civil War. Historical fiction: Chinese Civil War, 1927 to 1937. Prologue: The Seeds of War. April 1927, Shanghai, China. Smoke curled above the city as gunfire echoed through the streets. Chen Wei, a young soldier loyal to the National Revolutionary Army, NRA, crouched behind a pile of rubble. The streets of Shanghai, once bustling with merchants and traders, had become a war zone. He had believed in the revolution, in the dream of a unified China. But now, as Chiang Kai-shek's forces turned against their former communist allies, that dream was drowning in blood. Chapter 1. Allies turned enemies. Summer 1927, Nanchang, Jiangxi province. What had begun as a unified front against warlords had collapsed. The Kuomintang, KMT, led by Chiang Kai-shek and the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, once allies in the Northern Expedition, had turned on each other. Chen Wei found himself torn. He had fought beside communists and nationalists alike. But now, the Nanchang Uprising was about to begin, and he would have to choose a side. Chapter 2. The Flames of Rebellion. August 1927, Hunan Province. The Communists, betrayed and outnumbered, retreated to the countryside. Led by figures like Mao Zedong, they began their transition from urban insurrection to rural guerrilla warfare. Chen Wei, now questioning his loyalty to the KMT, fled into the mountains, where he encountered Lin Xia, a fiery communist revolutionary. Through her, he learned of Mao's strategy. The peasantry would be the foundation of their revolution. Chapter 3. The Autumn Harvest Uprising. September 1927, Changsha, Hunan Province. The CCP, weakened but not defeated, launched an uprising. Chen, now fighting alongside Lin Xia and the communist forces, watched as the peasants took up arms against the landlords and nationalist troops. But the rebellion was crushed. Survivors fled into the mountains, pursued relentlessly by KMT forces. The long struggle had begun. Chapter 4. The Birth of the Red Army. 1928, Jiangxi Province. Mao and Zhu De regrouped in the Jinggang Mountains, forming the Red Army. Chen trained alongside them, learning guerrilla tactics that would define the next decade of war. The nationalists continued their extermination campaigns, determined to wipe out the communists before they could grow stronger. Chapter 5. The encirclement campaigns begin. 1930 to 1931, Jiangxi Soviet. The nationalists launched multiple encirclement campaigns, attempting to crush the communists before they could establish a base. The Red Army, under Mao's leadership, used hit-and-run tactics, outmaneuvering the superior forces of the KMT. Meanwhile, internal strife within the Communist Party led to conflicts between Mao and other leaders who favored Soviet-style urban revolution tactics. Chen, now a battle-hardened commander, struggled to keep his men alive. Chapter 6. A Nation Divided. 1932 to 1934, Jiangxi Province. The Communists established the Chinese Soviet Republic, an attempt to create a stronghold in southern China. But Chiang Kai-shek would not allow it to stand. As the Fifth Encirclement Campaign began, Chen and Lin Xia prepared for the fight of their lives. They would either hold Jiangxi or die trying. Chapter 7. The Siege of Ruijin. 1933 to 1934, Ruijin, Jiangxi Province. The KMT launched a massive siege against the communist stronghold of Ruijin. With overwhelming firepower and superior numbers, they closed in on Mao's forces. Chen and Lin led a desperate last stand, fighting against tanks and aerial bombardments. Despite their efforts, they knew they had only one option left: escape. Chapter 8. The Long March begins. October 1934, Ruijin, Jiangxi Province. The Red Army, now reduced to 86,000 soldiers, began the Long March, a retreat that would take them across 9,000 kilometers of brutal terrain. Chen, wounded and exhausted, trudged forward through swamps and mountains. The dream of revolution was far from over. Chapter 9. Survival against all odds. 1935, the Tibetan Plateau. The Communists braved freezing temperatures, starvation, and constant KMT attacks. Lin Xia and Chen led a small detachment to find supplies, only to be ambushed. Half of their unit was lost. Chen was forced to leave men behind, a decision that would haunt him forever. Chapter 10. Crossing the Dadu River. May 1935, Sichuan Province. One of the most dangerous moments of the Long March was crossing the Dadu River, where KMT forces had prepared to wipe them out. Using crude rafts, the Communists charged forward under a hail of bullets. Lin Xia was nearly swept away by the current, but Chen pulled her to safety. Their bond had grown into something deeper, but war had no time for love. Chapter 11. Arrival in Yan'an. October 1935, Jiangxi Province. After a year of suffering, only 8,000 of the original 86,000 soldiers remained. But they had survived. Mao's leadership had been cemented, and the communist cause had found a new home in Yan'an. Chen and Lin stood at the edge of the cliffs, looking at their new base. "This is just the beginning," Lin said. Chen nodded. The war was far from over. Epilogue. The second phase looms. 1937. Nanjing, China. As Japan launched its full-scale invasion of China, the Communists and Nationalists were forced into an uneasy alliance. Chen and Lin knew their fight against the KMT wasn't over. But first, they had to fight for their country's survival. The shadows of war had not yet lifted from China.